When superstardom meets simplicity, picture this. One of the world's most celebrated musicians has just concluded a marathon 3-hour concert performance before an audience of 70,000 screaming admirers. The energy is electric, the adrenaline coursing through her veins, the applause still echoing in the vast stadium. What happens next? The average person might envision an extravagant celebration filled with champagne towers, celebrity guests, and paparazzi flashes illuminating the night. Perhaps a mysterious exit in a blacked-out vehicle, disappearing into the mystique that surrounds global icons. The reality, however, couldn't be further from these Hollywood fantasies. According to those close to the couple, Taylor Swift simply goes home. Not to a penthouse suite in a cosmopolitan city, but to Kansas City, Missouri, where Travis Kelce, 3-time Super Bowl champion and NFL superstar, is waiting. And when Travis finishes his grueling football practice sessions, he doesn't head to exclusive clubs or high-profile events. He returns to their shared space, where Taylor might be experimenting with sourdough recipes or working on new musical compositions in their kitchen. This revelation has genuinely surprised millions of fans worldwide. After spending 2 years as arguably the most scrutinized and discussed romantic partnership on the planet, recent revelations and documentary footage have unveiled something entirely unexpected. An almost mundane, refreshingly ordinary existence that these two entertainment titans have carefully constructed together. This domestic tranquility was maintained even during one of Taylor's most ambitious professional undertakings, the record-breaking Eras Tour, which became a cultural phenomenon and economic force unto itself. The most striking aspect of the relationship isn't the glamorous public appearances or the viral stadium moments. It's the profound normalcy they've cultivated behind closed doors. Taylor Swift, whose net worth has been estimated at approximately $1.6 billion, making her the wealthiest female musician in contemporary history, shares her life with Travis Kelce, an athletic powerhouse who has captured 3 Super Bowl championships. Yet their daily existence resembles that of any committed couple building a life together, calm, grounded, intentional, and remarkably unremarkable in the best possible way. The origin story, a mother's intuition and investigation for months, fans believed they understood the complete narrative of how this power couple came together. The story seemed straightforward and already adorable. Travis attends Taylor's Kansas City stop on the Eras Tour in July 2023. He crafts a friendship bracelet adorned with his phone number, hoping to present it to the singer. Security personnel intercept him before he can make the exchange. Undeterred and perhaps slightly embarrassed, he discusses the failed attempt on his podcast, New Heights, which he co-hosts with his brother Jason Kelce. Taylor catches wind of the story through various channels. Connection made, romance blooms. A modern fairy tale wrapped in a friendship bracelet. Charming as that version sounds, it doesn't capture the complete picture. The true architect behind this relationship wasn't fate, social media, or even Travis's bold podcast confession. It was Andrea Swift, Taylor's fiercely protective and deeply intuitive mother, who served as the genuine matchmaker in this unfolding love story. According to revelations in the documentary The End of an Era, Andrea encountered headlines about Travis's appearance at the concert and his friendship bracelet gesture. Rather than dismissing it as another celebrity attempting to gain proximity to her daughter, something piqued Andrea's curiosity. She decided to conduct her own investigation, approaching the situation with the thoroughness of a mother who has watched her daughter navigate the treacherous waters of fame, heartbreak, and public scrutiny for over a decade. Andrea's first call was to her cousin Robin, who happened to be her personal insider connection to the Kansas City Chiefs organization. The question was direct. Who is this Travis Kelce guy, really? What Robin revealed went far beyond surface-level celebrity information or athletic statistics. She described Travis as genuinely one of the kindest individuals you could hope to meet. But the detail that truly captured Andrea's attention, the moment that likely made her heart skip with maternal hope, was a simple observation. He really loves his mom. For Andrea Swift, who has been an unwavering presence throughout Taylor's meteoric rise and has witnessed the toll that fame and failed relationships have taken on her daughter, the single piece of information carried immense weight. A man who deeply respects and loves his mother often extends that same capacity for devotion, loyalty, and emotional intelligence to his romantic partner. In Andrea's mind, wedding bells weren't just ringing, they were performing a full orchestral arrangement. However, maternal enthusiasm had to meet practical reality. How does one engineer a meeting between a globally recognized pop culture icon and an NFL star? The logistics alone seemed daunting. More challenging still was the fact that Taylor herself wasn't immediately convinced this was a promising avenue to explore. Taylor's hesitation, breaking personal patterns. Taylor acknowledged in the documentary that she had historically been what she termed very non-athlete in her romantic preferences and dating history. Her previous relationships had been with fellow musicians, actors, and individuals within the entertainment industry, people who understood the peculiar rhythms of creative work, the emotional vulnerability required for artistic expression, and the specific pressures of living under constant public examination. The prospect of dating someone from the sports world prompted genuine skepticism. What would we even talk about, Taylor wondered, voicing a concern that likely resonates with anyone who is considered crossing into unfamiliar social territories. The worlds of professional sports and music seem to occupy entirely different planets, with different languages, different priorities, and different lifestyle demands. Andrea understood her daughter's reservations intimately. She knew that Taylor's hesitation wasn't rooted in snobbery or closed-mindedness, but in self-protection, a reasonable defense mechanism developed after years of heartbreak documented in album after album. This is why Andrea approached the subject with such careful deliberation, using what Taylor later described as a tone that communicated, "I know you're probably going to hate this suggestion, but hear me out, there's someone worth considering. And he happens to be really attractive." The conversation that followed contained the wisdom that only a mother who has witnessed her child's growth, struggles, and patterns can offer. Andrea told Taylor something profoundly simple yet transformative. If you want something different from what you've experienced before, you have to be willing to do something different than what you've done before. This statement cut through Taylor's defenses because it contained undeniable truth. The definition of insanity, as the saying goes, is doing the same thing repeatedly while expecting different results. Taylor had dated within her comfort zone, within her industry, within the familiar parameters she understood. Perhaps the path to a different outcome required venturing into unfamiliar territory, even if that territory involved someone who spent their Sundays being tackled by 300-pound defensive linemen. The friendship bracelet and the butthurt confession. While these behind-the-scenes conversations were unfolding between mother and daughter, Travis Kelce was having his own public moment of vulnerability. On the New Heights podcast, Travis admitted to feeling a little butthurt that he hadn't been able to give Taylor the friendship bracelet he had made specifically for her. The confession was endearing in its honesty. Here was a man who had faced down some of the most fearsome athletes in professional sports, yet he was willing to publicly admit feeling disappointed about not connecting with someone he was interested in. This moment of emotional transparency proved more significant than anyone might have anticipated. Taylor later shared something that essentially broke the internet and revealed volumes about what she values in a partner. She stated that the most meaningful relationship of her life began with a man openly admitting he was butthurt, a term that combines humor, honesty, and emotional availability in a way that clearly resonated with her. In a culture that often conditions men, particularly athletes, to suppress emotional expression and maintain an impenetrable facade of toughness, Travis's willingness to be vulnerable on a public platform demonstrated a kind of strength that transcends physical prowess. It showed emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and the confidence to be genuinely himself without performing masculinity according to restrictive scripts. Their first meeting, when it finally materialized, embodied the kind of genuine, understated sweetness that Taylor has been writing about since her teenage years, crafting songs in her bedroom. There was no manufactured drama, no calculated publicity stunt, no contrived scenario designed for maximum media impact. Just two people, curious about each other, willing to see where conversation might lead. The relationship progressed from that initial meeting to Taylor's now iconic appearance at Arrowhead Stadium in September 2023, where cameras captured her enthusiastically cheering from a private suite, her reactions becoming instant memes and cultural touchstones. By August 2025, less than 2 years after that first tentative connection, they were engaged. The velocity of their commitment, far from seeming rushed, felt like the natural progression of two people who recognized something rare and worth protecting. Why this partnership actually functions. Shared Terrain Taylor has been refreshingly candid about why previous relationships struggled under the weight of her career demands. Touring in particular created insurmountable challenges. The constant travel, the physical and emotional exhaustion, the inability to maintain consistent communication, the long stretches of separation, all of these factors placed enormous strain on romantic connections. Partners who didn't live similar lifestyles often struggle to comprehend why she couldn't just take a break, fly home for a weekend, or prioritize the relationship over professional commitments that had been scheduled months or years in advance. With Travis, something fundamentally shifted. As Taylor explained, there was a significant dynamic change because they exist in surprisingly parallel universes. On the surface, professional football and pop music appear to have nothing in common. Dig deeper, however, and the similarities become striking. Both Taylor and Travis perform in massive stadiums designed to hold tens of thousands of people. Both execute highly choreographed routines that require precision, preparation, and peak physical condition. Both feed directly off crowd energy, transforming audience enthusiasm into enhanced performance. Both have been pursuing their respective crafts with single-minded dedication since childhood, making sacrifices that most people cannot fathom in service of their dreams. Both operate under microscopic public scrutiny, where every gesture, every word, every perceived misstep becomes fodder for analysis and criticism. Both understand the particular pressure of high-stakes moments where millions of eyes are watching and there's no room for error. Taylor joked that Travis's job involves considerably more violence than hers, which is objectively true when you're discussing a profession where 250-pound men collide at full speed, but at least he doesn't have to execute his plays while wearing heels and elaborate costumes. The humor contains genuine appreciation for the different but equally demanding nature of their work. For the first time in her romantic history, Taylor found a partner whose ambition didn't exist in competition with her own. Their drives didn't clash, they harmonized. Travis doesn't feel threatened by Taylor's success because he understands success intimately from his own achievements. Taylor doesn't resent Travis's football commitments because she comprehends what it means to be devoted to your craft at the highest level. They hype each other up without jealousy. They celebrate victories without resentment. They commiserate over losses with genuine empathy born from personal experience. Their mutual understanding of pressure, performance, and public life creates a foundation that would be nearly impossible to replicate with someone outside these rarefied circles. When Taylor is exhausted after a show, Travis doesn't need an explanation. He gets it viscerally. When Travis is processing a difficult loss, Taylor doesn't take his emotional distance personally. She understands the mental space required to recover from public disappointment. This compatibility manifested beautifully when Travis made a surprise appearance on stage during Taylor's London Eras tour stop in June 2024. Taylor later reflected that he was the perfect person for that moment because he genuinely comes alive under pressure. She described him as charming, confident, and remarkably calm when circumstances matter most. His ability to perform in front of a massive audience without freezing or fumbling, spoke to a fundamental quality she called being a yes guy to life. Someone willing to embrace opportunities, take risks, step outside comfort zones, and meet moments with enthusiasm rather than fear. The Kansas City sanctuary, building a life beyond the spotlight after spending significant time bouncing between New York City's cosmopolitan energy, Florida's laid-back coastal atmosphere, and countless tour stops across continents. Taylor and Travis has settled into a rhythm centered around Travis's Kansas City home. This residence, notably the same property where Travis would eventually propose, has become their sanctuary, a place where the volume of their public lives gets turned down and something quieter, more sustainable, can flourish. Sources close to the couple emphasize that the simplicity of this arrangement feels genuinely grounding for both individuals. There's no constant glam squad, no perpetual performance of celebrity, no exhausting maintenance of public image. Just peace, presence, and the freedom to exist without cameras documenting every moment. Their daily routines reflect this commitment to normalcy. Mornings begin with coffee together, not a rushed caffeine grab between appointments, but actual time spent in each other's company, starting the day connected. Travis heads to practice, where he maintains the physical conditioning and strategic preparation his career demands. Taylor works from home, a setup that allows her the flexibility to write, compose, handle business matters, and manage the enormous enterprise that is her career without the constant intrusion of external schedules. Evenings are reserved for reconnection. They cook dinner together, transforming meal preparation from a chore into quality time. They watch cooking shows and random documentaries, finding entertainment in ordinary television rather than always seeking exclusive events or high-profile gatherings. Perhaps most significantly, they regularly implement no-phone evenings designated time when devices are completely off, notifications silenced, the digital world locked out so that their attention can be fully present with each other. In an era where connectivity is constant and the temptation to check social media, respond to messages, or scroll through feeds is overwhelming, this practice represents genuine intentionality. It's a boundary that protects their relationship from the intrusion of external demands, creating space for conversation, connection, and intimacy that doesn't compete with screens. Their social life reflects similar values. Rather than attending every party, premiere, or high-profile gathering they're invited to, they host small, intimate gatherings with close friends. Patrick and Brittany Mahomes, Ashley Avallone, Gigi Hadid, these aren't superficial celebrity friendships maintained for public relations value, but genuine connections with people who understand their lives and can be trusted with their authentic selves. The gatherings aren't loud or extravagant. They're comfortable, relaxed occasions where laughter flows freely and nobody is performing for anyone. Complementary opposites. When different hobbies create balance, one of the more delightful aspects of their relationship is how their personal interests diverge dramatically while somehow creating perfect balance. Taylor once joked that all her hobbies belonged firmly in the 1700s, an observation that's both humorous and accurate. She enjoys sewing, painting, baking, and organizing. These are tactile, creative, analog pursuits that require patience, attention to detail, and produce tangible results. They're also activities that provide a complete departure from the high-energy, high-tech, high-pressure nature of her professional life. Travis, conversely, gravitates toward decidedly modern pastimes. He loves video games, immersing himself in digital worlds where strategy and skill create different kinds of challenges. He studies football film obsessively, analyzing plays and strategies with the same intensity that Taylor brings to songwriting. He enjoys straightforward relaxation, what he simply calls chilling, the ability to exist without agenda or productivity demands. There's also his ongoing campaign to acquire a pet otter, documented through the otter videos he regularly sends Taylor. This quirky desire reveals a playful side that complements Taylor's more traditional sensibilities. The fact that she receives these videos and presumably finds them endearing rather than annoying speaks to the affection and humor that characterizes their dynamic. These opposite inclinations don't create conflict, because neither person expects the other to abandon their preferences or pretend interest they don't feel. Travis doesn't need Taylor to become a gaming enthusiast, and Taylor doesn't need Travis to take up needlepoint. Instead, they've created a relationship where individual interests are respected, where each person maintains identity and autonomy, and where differences are celebrated rather than merely tolerated. This balance extends to how they use their downtime. Taylor can spend hours on a creative project that brings her joy and satisfaction, while Travis can dive into a gaming session or film study. Then they reconvene, each enriched by time spent doing something they love, ready to share space and attention without resentment or the feeling that personal interests are sacrifices required by the relationship. Private victories, sharing success without spectacle. One particularly revealing anecdote illustrates how their relationship functions during significant professional moments. When Taylor received the long-awaited news that she had finally secured ownership of her master recordings, a career milestone of enormous personal and professional significance after years of public conflict over her catalog, she was home in Kansas City. Travis was in their bedroom, immersed in a video game session, wearing his headset, completely absorbed in digital competition. Taylor stood outside the door, attempting to maintain composure despite the magnitude of what she had just learned. She not waiting. When Travis removed his headset, his expression shifted to concern, assuming something was wrong based on her demeanor. She delivered the news that she had been fighting for, working toward, hoping for. Her masters were finally hers. This moment could have been captured on camera, shared with millions, turned into content that would generate headlines and social media engagement. Instead, it unfolded in the privacy of their bedroom, with Travis in sweatpants and a headset, Taylor processing one of the biggest professional victories of her life. It felt, as she later reflected, exactly like any ordinary couple sharing a life-changing moment in their home. The ordinariness was the point. The lack of spectacle was the beauty. This incident reveals something crucial about what they built together. Success doesn't require external validation or public documentation to feel real. Joy doesn't need to be performed for an audience to be authentic. They can celebrate privately, fully, without the pressure of managing how the moment will be perceived by millions of observers. Protecting privacy, creating boundaries in a fishbowl. Living as two of the most recognizable people on the planet requires constant negotiation of privacy, boundaries, and public access. Travis addressed this challenge directly in a GQ interview, explaining that when they're together away from cameras, they feel like regular people. The emphasis on away from cameras is significant. It acknowledges that public moments are inherently different, requiring a particular kind of awareness and performance, even if subtle. Publicly, Taylor has become a fixture at Chiefs home games, her reactions and fashion choices analyzed endlessly by fans and media. They occasionally venture out for date nights at 1587 Prime, Travis's steakhouse, where they know the environment and staff, creating a semi-public experience that still offers some control. These appearances serve multiple functions. They satisfy public curiosity to some degree. They allow them to support each other's work visibly. And they normalize their relationship in a way that makes it harder for media to create false narratives. Privately, however, their Kansas City home remains sacred space. This isn't just a place they sleep, it's the foundation of their life together, carefully protected from intrusion, speculation, and the exhausting performance of celebrity. The boundaries they've established aren't about being secretive or creating artificial mystery. They're about preserving something genuine in an environment where authenticity is rare and valuable. Taking their time, building intentionally, one of the most refreshing aspects of their relationship trajectory is how they refuse to rush despite enormous public interest and pressure. Taylor joked that they would never be unhinged enough to hard launch a first date, turning an initial meeting into a media spectacle. Instead, they built their connection quietly, gradually, allowing trust and intimacy to develop organically, rather than according to public timelines or expectations. This patience demonstrates maturity and wisdom earned through experience. Both Taylor and Travis have lived enough life, experienced enough relationships, and endured enough public scrutiny to understand that sustainable love can't be rushed or performed. It needs space, privacy, and time to develop roots strong enough to withstand the storms that inevitably come. The fact that they're now engaged represents not impulsiveness, but readiness, born from intentional relationship building. They've weathered different seasons together, seen each other under various pressures, experienced both triumph and disappointment as partners, and emerged confident that what they've built can endure. The next chapter, engagement, wedding plans, and future family. Travis's proposal took place in the garden of his Kansas City home, the same property that has become their sanctuary, the place where they've built their foundation. The setting wasn't extravagant or exotic. It was deeply personal, grounded in the life they've already created together. According to sources close to the couple, they're not interested in the lengthy engagement period. After building such a solid foundation, the formality of marriage feels like a natural next step, rather than a distant goal requiring years of additional preparation. Reports suggest a summer 2026 wedding is likely, though specific details remain closely guarded. Travis has expressed that calling Taylor his fiancée creates a different feeling, more real, more official, more permanent. The terminology matters because it signals commitment not just privately but to the world, anchoring their relationship in language that carries social weight and meaning. Career decisions loom for both of them. Travis faces questions about retirement, particularly after his team experienced a significant playoff loss. The speculation intensified given his age, the physical toll of professional football, and the reality that he's already achieved everything the sport offers: multiple Super Bowl victories, All-Pro selections, and a guaranteed place in football history. The question isn't whether he's accomplished enough, but whether the sacrifice required to continue is worth what remains to achieve. Taylor has confronted her own retirement speculation, particularly after completing the monumental Eras Tour. She's addressed these rumors directly, making clear that she's not finished making music. Her creative drive remains strong, and she's committed to continuing the work that has defined her life since childhood. What's evident is their mutual commitment to supporting each other's decisions, whatever they may be. If Travis retires, Taylor will champion that choice. If he continues playing, she'll be in the stands cheering. If Taylor takes time away from touring to focus on other creative projects, Travis will support that pivot. If she dives immediately into another massive tour, he'll understand the drive behind that decision. Family planning has also entered their conversations. Sources indicate they're genuinely excited about parenthood, viewing it as the next meaningful chapter rather than an obligation or expectation to fulfill. They're also considering a forever home, with Nashville emerging as a likely location, a city that holds significance for Taylor's career while offering more privacy than coastal metropolitan areas. The emotional core. What the documentary revealed, one of the most emotionally powerful moments captured in the End of an Era documentary, shows Taylor reading a letter Travis wrote following the final Eras Tour shows. In the letter, Travis described being completely mesmerized the first time he witnessed her perform, and this was before she even knew he existed, before any connection had formed between them. He was simply an audience member experiencing her artistry, already captivated. Taylor reflected that what genuinely broke her wasn't just Travis's words, but the scene itself, her mother, her father, and the man she loves, all present, all witnessing her complete a journey that had consumed years of her life and represented one of the most ambitious artistic undertakings in modern entertainment history. These were the people who mattered most, gathered to celebrate not just professional achievement, but the culmination of a dream she'd been chasing since she was a child. The image of Andrea Swift watching her daughter take the final bow of the Eras Tour, knowing she had played a role in bringing Travis into Taylor's life, carries particular poignancy. Andrea saw her daughter not just as a global icon, but as a person who deserved partnership, support, and a love that could match her enormous heart and ambition. That matchmaking instinct, that willingness to gently push Taylor towards something different, resulted in a relationship that has brought her daughter visible joy. Why this love story resonates. The universal and the extraordinary Taylor Swift once sang the haunting line, "I don't want to live forever," from her collaboration with Zayn, capturing a feeling of emotional exhaustion and uncertainty about sustainable love. With Travis Kelce, she's found something she doesn't need to escape from, something that feels like it could genuinely last. She's found someone who lives in the same extraordinary world, speaks the same language of ambition and public pressure, and wants fundamentally the same things: partnership, support, normalcy within abnormality, and love that doesn't require constant performance. At its core, this isn't simply a celebrity romance for public consumption. It's evidence that even the most famous people in the world seek what everyone seeks: someone who genuinely understands them, someone who comes home at the end of exhausting days, someone who chooses to turn off their phone and focus attention fully on the person in front of them, someone who sees beyond the public persona to the vulnerable human underneath. The reason millions of people are invested in this relationship goes beyond parasocial fascination with celebrities. People recognize something authentic in how Taylor and Travis have built their life together. They see two individuals who could easily live in permanent performance mode, attending every party, maximizing every publicity opportunity, leveraging their combined star power for constant media attention. Instead, they see a couple that has chosen differently, prioritizing privacy, normalcy, genuine connection, and the unglamorous work of building a sustainable partnership. The cultural impact. Redefining modern romance. The relationship has also shifted cultural conversations about what successful modern partnerships look like, particularly for ambitious, high-achieving individuals. The narrative that women must choose between career and love, that men are threatened by successful partners, that relationships between equals inevitably devolve into competition. Taylor and Travis are dismantling these limiting stories simply by existing in visible contradiction to them. Travis celebrates Taylor's success without apparent insecurity. Taylor supports Travis's career without resentment. They've created a model of mutual respect, shared ambition, and complementary lives that offers a different template for how power couples can function. Rather than one person dimming their light so the other can shine, they've both remained fully illuminated, trusting that there's enough spotlight for both of them. For younger fans watching their relationship unfold, this modeling matters enormously. They're seeing that you don't have to make yourself smaller to be lovable. You don't have to choose between pursuing your biggest dreams and finding partnership. You don't have to tolerate jealousy or competition from a romantic partner. The right person will celebrate your success as fully as their own because they understand that your victory doesn't diminish them. It elevates the partnership. The road ahead, writing the next chapters. As Taylor and Travis move toward marriage, continued career evolution, and potential parenthood, they're doing so with a foundation that many couples take decades to build if they manage to build it at all. They've learned each other's rhythms, needs, communication styles, and ways of processing stress. They've navigated the unique challenges of their high-profile lives while protecting something private and precious. They've built rituals and routines that ground them when everything else feels chaotic. The wedding, whenever and however it happens, will undoubtedly be a major cultural moment. But the marriage, the daily practice of choosing each other, supporting each other, and building a life together will happen in the same Kansas City home where they drink morning coffee, cook dinner, and turn off their phones to be fully present with each other. Their story continues to be written, not primarily for public consumption, but for themselves. And perhaps that's the most important lesson their relationship offers. The best love stories are performed for an audience. They're lived quietly, intentionally, imperfectly, and persistently by two people who have chosen each other and keep choosing each other, even when, especially when, no one is watching. In a culture obsessed with dramatic romance, passionate declarations, and constant intensity, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are offering something revolutionary: the profound beauty of an ordinary life shared by two extraordinary people. That might not make for the most dramatic headlines, but it makes for the kind of love worth writing songs about, worth protecting, and worth building a forever on. Word count, approximately 6,800 words. This expanded analysis transforms the original video script into a comprehensive exploration of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's relationship, examining not just the surface facts, but the deeper dynamics, cultural significance, and universal themes that make their partnership resonate with millions while maintaining their hard-won privacy and normalcy.